Well, hey everyone, welcome back to Stuff We Can Do in Excel. I'm Richard, and what we're going to do is look at how to use the information that's embedded in dates in our Excel files to find anomalies in our data. So we've already looked at how Excel stores dates as serial numbers. We've also looked at how to extract the year, the month, and the day of the week from those dates. Let's go see now how we might use that information. So as an exercise, first thing we've got is this data file, and what we're going to do with this data file first is we're going to extract the year, the month, and the date. So I'm going to go through again how we've done that for those of you who may have forgotten. First, I'm going to insert some columns. Remember, the column will pick up the formatting for the cell immediately to its left. So when I insert a cell, a column between column A and B, it's going to be formatted as a date column. That's okay. I'm going to insert another column between C and B, and I'm going to insert a column between B and C. And I'm going to call the first column, I'm going to call that year. I'm going to call the second column month, and this third column day of the week. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and center those columns. You'll also notice that when I inserted those columns into this table, they picked up the formatting of the other head columns in the table because it is a table, and it will pick that up. If I inserted a column here to the left of column A, it would pick up that formatting of that column. See, they would pick that formatting right up, but we're going to delete that because we don't need it. Now, if this was just a range of data, if I clicked and inserted a column in front of column A, it would pick up a general formatting, right? It would not pick up the formatting of the file to its left because there is nothing to its left. So anyway, so we've got this data, and how do we do this? Well, there's a couple of ways. First thing we do is we simply go grab the date. We'll go grab the date of the sale, and then what we'll do when we have that date, I'm going to right click and I'm going to format that, and I'm going to go down to custom, and I'm going to now type in up here YYYY in my type column. There is no actual custom there, but I can type that in, YYYY. When I hit OK, it gives me the year, and I can just simply, when I hit enter, it's going to copy that. Well, it didn't copy it, but I'll just double click, and it copies it all the way down my column. Now, for the month, I can do it a different way. I can simply do equals, and now we're going to do, I'm going to type in text, and I'm going to say I want to go get the date here. I'm going to put column and quote mark and put M, quote mark, close paren, and I'm going to get that day, and it copies it, of course, all the way down the page for me. Days of the week, I can get it another way. I can do equals, then I'm going to go up to my formula bar, click on FX, and I'm going to look for the formula, it says text, and I'm going to hit go, and it's going to, there it is, text, and I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to ask me what value it is I want. I want that value. It's going to ask me my format, and I just type in DDDD, and I hit enter, and it's going to give me the day of the week. So now I've got information that I did not have before. I can now sort this information by month. If there were multiple years in this file, I could sort this information by year. But I've got month, I can also sort it by days of the week, which I could not do before. And of course, this information has in it things like whether the sale was online or in the store. I've got, actually, if I look at this, I've got 2,100, over 2,100, almost, I think, in 19 lines of data. So that's quite a bit of data I've got for this file. So now I want to analyze this data a little bit, this file, and I'm actually going to go in on this. This is a little strange, so I'm going to click on this little box right here. I'll double click on any of the separators between a column, and it'll automatically resize everything appropriately for me. So what I'm going to do next, and actually I'm going to go to these columns, and I just want these columns to be, that's fine the way they are. I was going to maybe change. I can, of course, I can go this. I can change that. I can take out the decimal points if I wish, or I can add those back in. I could also change that to an accounting format, and I can take out those dollar signs if I wanted to. But matter of fact, let's just go in there, and for the accounting, we will, let's see, let's go take those dollar signs out. because we know they're dollars. And so we've got our data now that we can use. One other thing in this data that I don't like, and we can, is I've got first name, I've got last name. That's great if I've got an individual, but when it's a company like Trainers Unlimited, it doesn't have anything in the last name column. I might want to be able to sort this by last name, which means anytime it's a company, I won't pick it up. If I just sort it by first name, it's only going to pick up the first name of people. How do I know who Lucy is, right? So I'm going to add another column in here. I'm going to right click and insert another column. And we're going to use the concat function to combine names, okay? So this is going to be combined name. And let me go in and put the D in there. This is going to be the combined name. And we'll resize this column. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do equals, and I'm going to go back to my function button, and I'm going to say I want to equal concat. If you don't have it, go look under the all, and you can find it. And I'm going to say OK, and it's going to ask me what first text is first name, second text is last name, and I hit enter, and it's going to do that for me all the way down the page. This is going to make things nice and interesting. So I'm going to now insert a pivot table for this. Let's insert a pivot table, and I'll go up to insert. And over on the left, I'll hit pivot table, and I'm going to put it on a new worksheet. So here's my pivot table, and I'm going to do sales, and I'm going to do by month. Okay, so here's my sales by month, and let's say that's my table. What if I want to add a chart to this? So I'll hit pivot chart, and it's going to ask me what kind of chart. Let's pick this, the column chart right here. That's good. So I've got a column chart for my sales. And what I might want to do, I might want to actually put my data labels in there so I can see that. That's a little busy, isn't it? So maybe what I'll want to do, instead of doing that, I'll go in and I'll go with this data. I can right click this, and I'm going to go up to general. I'm going to take most of those decimal places out. No. So we'll go in and format those cells, and we'll go to accounting, and we'll get rid of the, well, that just changed to 1, didn't it? So let's go in, we'll do format cells, and now we'll take out, we'll do accounting, and it should do the whole, there it does the whole thing. It's a little bit easier to read now. If I want to make it even easier, I can stretch that out some. So I can see pretty much what I'm doing. In fact, I might want to take those decimal points out also, and just do no decimal points at all, and that will make it look much better even. So I can see what's going on here for my sales. Now, part of the problem is I don't know what's on what's online, what's not online, but I can certainly tell that. If I wanted to separate those two, I could just take my sales location and move it down here, and it's going to give me that. But if I actually switch these, go down here, I'm going to put sale location first and then month. Here's my in-store sales. Here's the patterns. Here's the pattern for the months. What if instead of month I wanted day of the week? I could put day of the week, and I get day of the week, and I get well, this is interesting. So if I look at this data, and I'm seeing I've got sales. I've got a total of $3 million in sales. Approximately 971,000 of that is in the store. 2 million of that is online. When I look at the in-store data, one of the things I notice is that I've got sales on Sunday. Now, that's not abnormal unless I happen to know that the store is closed on Sundays. So I might ask a question when I get to this data here. This data, I might ask me a question. Why in the world is that data even there? Why am I having in-store sales on a Sunday when I know the store is closed? So I would have to investigate that and see what's going on. What if I wanted to do this by day of the week, and I've done that? What if I wanted to know what my top 10 customers were? Well, there's a way to do that. So I'm going to, right here on this same spreadsheet, I am going to go in here, and I'm going to insert a pivot table, and that pivot table is going to be right here. I'm not going to move it. Oops. Actually, we're going to select a table. We're going to put it right here on the existing spreadsheet. We're going to use the, let's go back and do this. So I'm going to go back to my original data. I'm going to click right here. I'm going to insert a pivot table. I'm going to put it on existing worksheet, which is the sheet 5. I'm going to put it right there. and I am going to now say OK. Now what it's given for you, if I put net sales down here, and now I'm going to use my combined name, I've got all of my customers and the sales, right? This is kind of weird to me. It's great, I guess, but what if what I really wanted to know was the top 10, and that's all I wanted? Well, I can sort this pivot table. If I click on any one of the numbers in the sum of sales column and right click on it, I can go to sort, and I can do largest to smallest. Now it's giving me my largest to smallest, and this is a little strange here, right? With this data the way it is. So I am going to right click, and I am going to change the format of that cell to an accounting format. I'm going to get rid of the zeros, or the decimal places, and get rid of the dollar sign. And now I've got my top customers, but I've got, there's a whole bunch of them still, right? What if I only wanted to see the top 10? Well, I can do that. If I click over here under the rows column, see this down arrow? I'm going to click on that down arrow, and I am going to go to value filters, and it gives me top 10. I can choose the top 10 here. And in fact, I could do the top 5 if I wanted to. I could do the top 15. Let's change it to top 5 because we can. And we'll hit OK. Now I've got a table here with just my top 5 sellers on each day. Now, top 5 sellers overall. What if I wanted to separate this by day? Well, I can insert a slicer into this by clicking in any one of these items up here, and I am going to go Analyze up at the top, put Insert Slicer. We're going to put Day of the Week, and I've now got that, and it shows all day. What if I just wanted on Sundays? What's going on Sundays? Who are my top 5 customers on Sundays? I could also, by the way, slice this. Let's go do another one. Let's put in a slicer here for whether it's online or on campus, or online or in the store. That's my location. So I've got a second slicer here. So if I wanted to know who these customers are that are buying stuff on Sundays in the store, I can simply choose, I'm just going to do in store. Now you notice I do that, and it didn't change anything up here, right? Online, it didn't change at all up there. If I change the day of the week, it doesn't change my top 5, right? So I want to link these together. So I'm going to click in the sales, my info table here. I'm going to go back to Analyze. I'm going to go to Filter Connections. And I want to make sure that day of the week and sales location are both selected for that. I want to do the same thing up here in my other table. I want to click on that, and I want to go to Analyze and Filter Connections. I want to make sure both of my filters are connected there. And now what I can do is I can look at all days of the week. If I wanted to, I could look at just one day. So let's just look at one day of the week. There's my Sunday sales. What if I just want? If I want to look at both, I've got Sunday sales and I've got in-store sales, online and in-store. And what if I just wanted to look at the in-store sales? So if I just click on in-store, I can look at the in-store sales, and you notice this changed down here, right? If I look at online, see that changes? So I can now tell I've got Quinn Richards and Putnam County Schools are doing a lot of business on Saturday. Why is that going on? So that gives me a way to analyze this data and maybe ask some questions. One other thing I want you to notice, depending on what day of the week I pick, notice how this box here keeps changing size because it's auto-fitting the size of my customers in there. Okay, that's a little irritating, right? So I might want to change that. And it looks like, let's see, it looks like maybe Thursday. Thursday is one of my widest ones. So I'm doing here, if I go now into this and I right-click on this particular pivot table, just right-click anywhere in the table, I can go to Pivot Table Options here, or I can go up under Analyze and all the way to the left go under Options, same thing, under Options, and I'm going to click off the Auto Fit column and hit OK. And now every time I change, it changes the information, but what it doesn't change it doesn't change the width of the file, which is kind of nice, right? And so I can now go back and look at all my days, whether it's in store or online. I can get information for all of my people, and it updates every time I change this, both the table and the visual update for me. So we've just built a really useful tool and a really useful pivot table and pivot chart that helps us to see information about what's going on with our sales. So again, we use the dates information, we use the in-store information, we use the concat function, and we got a lot of good information available to us that we can now use to help analyze our company's data.